this in a week or these next few, how much do you have to watch how much you press them in practice? I mean, how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty routine.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, you know, you can't be nuts. You know, you got home at 1 o'clock, so you're smart with, you know, what you do in practice and how hard you go and how long you go and how much you practice versus, you know, film review on us and our opponent. You just kind of figure it out.
You guys are all very familiar with yourself by now, aren't you? I mean,
You know, that we already played Rutgers
sure.
once, you know, so that makes it a little different.
What have you observed from Rutgers since the last time y'all played? They've kind of like ascended a little bit to the top of the Big Ten standings.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they were kind of there before. I mean, Purdue only has one loss. It was to them, so I think they're pretty good.
You had 4 guys who played the entire second half last night, and that's not common. How did that work itself out, and how much maybe are generalizations right or wrong about minutes played with college players?
You know, I think, you know, in a perfect world, each of those guys would have gotten a little bit of rest, at least. As I've said before, and I think it's part of what your question is, you know, there's 4 media timeouts, there's other timeouts. They just got a 15-minute rest at halftime. I think what you do, Mike, is you're in a huddle and you're looking at your guys and you're seeing if they're breathing heavy. Nobody was. But then you also evaluate, okay, what's your defensive intensity look like? Because that's where it's going to manifest itself. You know, guys getting easy baskets. And I thought our defense was really good. It's another reason why I kept those guys out there. We were connected defensively, and I thought did a really good job. So I didn't want to mess with that.
The guys are pretty good too, I would imagine, telling you, hey, I got it.
Yeah, if they're exhausted, they're going to ask to come out. But I say that, but you know, the truth is most guys won't ask to come out even if they're exhausted. But you know, I think you got to. The other thing is, you know, foul trouble is going to dictate taking guys out. And you know, we didn't have any last night, other than Peyton getting 2 in the first half.
How surprised are you when you see your team miss 14 of 17 threes? Is that just how the game is?
Yeah. You know, it's unfortunate we've had a couple of those. Mm-hmm. You know, that is. You know, I think what you do is you look and say, okay, are we taking bad shots? Are we getting guys good threes? You know, I don't remember too many bad ones. Connor took a deep one at the end of the shot clock. Mm-hmm. I thought Chris had a couple. Chris out of the corner when he kind of popped through and looked like we were going to swing it and kind of threw it back to him. I thought that was going to go in. So did he. So, you know, a little more concerned that we missed the free throw. We usually don't miss free throws like that.
How much do these quick turnarounds help with like not dwelling on the losses and having?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of that anyway. You know, this league, every game's close. You know, you win close, you lose close. You very methodically in a business-like manner, just get ready for the next game. You don't get too high, too low.
It was almost a year ago that the team was kind of in a similar spot as they are now. Got a big win against Minnesota, I believe, at home, and it kind of sparked a February run. Is that something that is equitable that you can pull on from last season?
Yeah, to be truthful, I don't think we really look at that. You know, it's a completely different team, and you know, I know it sounds cliche, but we're just really locking it on Sunday and just trying to be the best version of ourselves on Sunday. We'll worry about February when February comes.
You got a lot, like in the media, we always look at the big picture and look down, but you're just locked in on the next challenge. How difficult it is to get your players to think that way, or are they the same way? Do they not worry about the big picture?
Well, I think that's a fair question. I think we hope they're the same way. Is everybody locked in like that? Probably not. You know, somebody's looking down the road or looking at home road. I mean, I would hope not. I mean, we don't even discuss. You know, half the time, I swear, I don't even know who we're playing next after that. I just don't pay any attention to it. Hey, we got, you know, I find out from you guys, hey, we got 3 in a row at home, 4 in a row at home. We got a bunch of road games coming up. You know, Sunday we play Rutgers at home, so.
Have you always been like that as a coach?
Yeah, and I think the guys I worked for were like that, but I think it was really evident. I mean, I worked for Coach McLeod. I mean, think about trying to get ready 82 times. You know what? He was as methodical and businesslike as you could ever get. Break the film down, plan practice, get ready for your next opponent, play the game. He never got too high or too low. And he grinded the same way every game, and that's, you know, it's a little different in college. I mean, there's a little more emotion to it, I think, but I don't get that way.
Can you gauge that in players as you recruit?
Well, you might be able to, but in today's recruiting world, it's different because sometimes you're signing guys strictly on what they do in AAU. You don't even see them play for their high school team. And most of the time we will, because we get in early and we try to get to know them and we get to know their families. That's the only way you decide if they fit your culture. But as recruiting has changed with the transfer portal and 2,000 transfers, you know, you're gonna maybe take it, you know, think about it and be like, you can't find a better culture guy than Philip Abracha. We recruited him for 3 weeks, you know, and you know, but I made sure that, you know, we reached out to his family and the people that he was close with here in the States. Him, you know, it was a great fit for him on so many different levels, and that's what he's trying to figure out too. You know, so there's a lot of things we're trying to figure out in the recruiting process, and I think it's important to do that, and not just look at numbers, because numbers, they work sometimes, but you know, while you're looking at, you know, that's where the analytics stuff fails you. It's all about people and what is their makeup, and that's kind of how I view it. You know, I don't dismiss analytics, but you gotta get to know who's going to be on your team. You know, what kind of person they're going to be in the locker room. You know, what kind of person are they going to be on campus. And you know, fortunately, we've had a pretty good run of really good people. I'm really proud of that.
Patrick, be a game time decision?
Patrick will be a game time decision. He will practice today and tomorrow. I think he's getting closer, but you know, we'll see.
You think you would have enjoyed coaching in the NBA?
You know what, Mike? I think you have to be smart enough to understand the difference. It's a different job, and you know, I think my approach probably would have worked in terms of, you know, I've often been referred to as a player's coach. I mean, you better be in the pros. They're the show. You are not the show. If you think you're the show, then you'll be unemployed quickly in that league. You know, you got to manage people way more important than what you're running. You know, what your plays look like. And yet there's still very similar components to the coaching profession. I never really looked at myself as somebody that was, you know, a lot of times I really want to coach in the pros. You know, that's a goal. I want to get. I've never felt that way. I always looked at myself. I'm a college coach, and that's where I'm happy, and that's where I fit. And I have tremendous respect, you know, for a number of guys in that league that I've gotten to know. You know, just conversations over the year, whether it be Jeff Van Gundy or Rick Carlisle. I mean, there's so many really, really talented coaches in that league. And you know, what comes at them now is not easy to handle sometimes. You know, the scrutiny and, like we said, 82 games plus preseason plus playoffs. And I think you have anything short of a real business-like approach, but at the same time, you've got to connect. So I don't anticipate, being in that league in my career.
Well, I wasn't suggesting that, but I wondered because a
I
lot
was
of.
going to hire you as my agent.
Well, then let's rethink this. I mean, what made me put that question in my mind was your comment about, I mean, you control the roster, and you don't get to in that league, and I'm wondering if that's a major vote against it for a lot of college coaches.
Well, I think the critical thing is, and I think if you study it, the successful franchises are when the coach and the general manager work together. Those franchises excel. When there's friction there, one of them goes. Sometimes both of them go. And you could be in good shape one week and be gone the next. But I think there are some really, really good franchises with really talented people in that league. And again, I've gotten to know them a lot more recently because of my conversations with Luca, with Keegan, with Chris, with Joe Wieskamp. And they come in to our practices, they come in and they spend a day. Sometimes it's scouts, sometimes it's general managers. The phone calls will come from the coaches. So I get a sense of what the pulse is in that particular organization, what they're looking for, what they need to know from me in regard to one of my players, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I've been really impressed with the organization. And as you well know, I mean, every game there's 15 scouts, 15 representatives, maybe more, depending upon where the game is. They're all doing their homework. But that's why you see a lot of coaches, they want to do both jobs, and that's really hard. Some of them, Doc Rivers is really good at it, for example. Really good at it, but even then, the Sixers have a general manager, the Sixers have administration. Doc's a great guy, as good as it gets, so they get along well, they work together. They have a GLeague franchise, and how do we work with that? How do we develop guys? They're drafting guys younger and younger, so you better be able to understand how to develop guys in the GLeague and bring them up, put them down, get them playing time, etc.
Coach, you mentioned the concern with the free throw shooting more than the three-point shooting. Why is that?
Well, we were in a position to go up a couple times. We can tie the game or go up 8 on the road. What did we miss? 7? We missed 7.
6 of 13.
Yeah, so we missed 7 free throws, and I don't remember if there was a one-on-one in there. So maybe you're leaving more points on the up there that you're not getting. And in a game like that, you're playing a game in the low 60s. Every point is critical.
Aaron's obviously being more aggressive on offense, which you like, but is that also maybe why the turnovers are there? Because maybe he's being too aggressive at times?
Well, we would have to have a different approach in how we looked at those turnovers, if you know what I mean.
I sort of know what you mean.
You're a smart guy, Pat. I've known that about you.
Okay. How key is it for you, though, that he seems really confident with his mid-range game now, whereas maybe a month ago, he didn't look like he wanted to shoot?
Yeah, if you remember, he was a great finisher and a pretty good pull-up guy, a little floater, and then he had the wrist injury, and then he was struggling to finish, and I think at the end of last year, I think it affected him, and to his credit, he got better and really worked on it in the summer, and you're seeing more aggressiveness. I want him to be aggressive like that. I'm not going to tell him, even with the 6 turnovers and how they materialized, but I still want him attacking. I want him getting downhill. I think he's got to find some people. There's a fine line when you have a guy that's getting downhill. How often do they shoot? How often do they give it up? How often do they pivot, play off 2, and live to fight another day? I thought there was something there. There's nothing there. I'll just throw it back out, and then we'll run something from there. And, as he's gotten more and more confidence, more experience, I think he's been much better at that.
All right. Thanks very much.